Hi everyone. As you all know, my name is Prashant Sharma. This is our 10th webinar, and you've gotten used to seeing me do this opening bit and do my own little bit here. But today we've got a really special webinar planned for you, and which is why I would just want to wish everyone a lovely good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Step Up webinar series. It is an initiative by the Naukri Hiring Suite family, which includes brands like Naukri.com, Resdesk, Employer Branding, iimjobs, Hiris. My name is Prashant Sharma, and I'm a very small member of the Info Edge marketing function. And we're super happy to have you join in sharp on time. And that's something that I assure you we respect and love as much as it can be. We sincerely hope that you're safe and taking all necessary precautions in these pandemic times. These are tough times, but our objective through this series is to ensure that we all can learn from the experiences and insights of industry leaders, and together navigate through these through times of uncertainty. As you know, I was just having a word with Savita. Savita was just saying about the uncertainty. So trying to navigate through these uncertain times with regards to recruitment and HR in general as well. It's a pleasure to have four esteemed leaders here today from the recruitment world. And before I bring them in and I do the introductions there as well, just a few things to keep in mind, while going through and moving on and through this over the next hour or so. We're starting at 3 p.m. sharp, and we will be ending at about 3:59, 4 p.m. sharp, because we don't want to take any more time of you as well, because I'm sure you've got to get back to work. Extended weekend coming up as well. We were lucky to receive so many questions through the registrations, and during the registrations we asked that what would you like to ask the panelists. There was so much interest and questions that came through on this topic, that we have a structure and a certain flow in place already. That being said, with the availability of time, we will be trying our very best and level best to take as many live questions as possible as well. We'll try to reserve the last 10 to 15 minutes for that as well, right? And don't worry, I mean, usually you have me to sort of blame when the questions aren't put forward, but today I have a special guest who will actually be to blame when the questions aren't taken, right? But before I get to him, over the last 10 webinars, we've discussed hiring for millennials, remote hiring, gig economy, diversity hiring, technology adoption, and campus hiring, and so much more, right? But today's topic is something that I think we have to get comfortable with it. There are several stories, there are several best practices, there are several cases as to why this is the way forward for all of us. And today's topic is around artificial intelligence and machine learning within the talent acquisition atmosphere. That's something that we believe is the now and the future. As an organization that works with recruiters, that works with organizations, and just as well as the recruiters and the leaders that we have here with us today, everyone will have to agree that AI and ML is the now and future for us. And the adoption is what we hope to discuss here. We're at a stage where updated technologies are becoming extremely necessary for us, and for us to improve our hiring and employee management practices. In light of the pandemic, has anything actually accelerated? Is this somehow a blessing in disguise for those who were taking a backseat for these activities? To find out and to discuss today, we're joined by four wonderful panelists, actually three panelists and a moderator today, and I'll get to the moderator right at the end. But first up, we have Mr. Jaideep Reddy. He's the head of talent acquisition at Dansk IT and support services. He has extensive experience of working in the IT and ITES fields. His skills include HR consulting, coaching, HR policy, screening, and management. He's someone who has a master's degree in general management from IIM Bangalore. And as you can see, he's dressed as sharply as anyone else could be. He's ready. So he's taking this seriously. I hope you have your notepads ready for him as well, right? Next up, we have Mr. Nadeem Pasha. He's the head of talent acquisition at Inspirage. He's a very career-oriented management professional with close to 2 decades of experience. It spans across areas of human resources, whether it's talent acquisitions, M&As, and organizational policies. He's also a career coach, mentor, and motivational speaker. He's someone who's very active on the conclave circuit across Bangalore and India as well. He's a lovely mentor to the up and coming students as well. Nadeem, thank you so much for joining us here today. Now, my third panelist is someone who I have tried to get in touch with on about 1 million occasions previously. but yes, and on a million occasions previously, and today I had to use the help of the moderator to get her on board here. But thankfully, she is here, and she is Savita Hotekar, head of talent acquisition at ThoughtWorks India. No matter where you are, no matter who you follow, you will see cases of wonderful best practices from ThoughtWorks and some wonderful work that they've done. And she's someone again with close to I think 17, 18 years of experience management. She's handled talent acquisition hands on, across industries. The experience is something that I think we're very, very happy to have her here, because she will be able to share with us some things that she's led, experienced, much like all our panelists. She too is extremely welcome here. Thank you so much for being with us, Savita.
Thank you, Prashant. Thanks for the nice introduction.
And to come to my fourth panelist and moderator, I'm saying panelist and moderator because largely if the attendees were a part of the inception phase of this webinar, you would think that this is his webinar, not mine, right? So Vishwanath, thank you so much for sort of being the moderator and a panelist on this. He's the global head of talent acquisition at Access Kids. Again, close to 2 decades of experience managing talent acquisition in product development, investment banking, captive organizations. He too has expertise, and this topic is something that, when we reached out to him, he didn't say that, I want to be, I'll come for this. He said, when you do something on AI and ML, that's when you reach out to me. So when someone with that focus is there, it's only natural that he's the moderator here, and an amateur marketing professional like me is not being the moderator here, right? Vishwanath, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for being on board here. I think we've got everything in readiness, and at this point, I think I can hand over the reins to Vishwanath, and while I will be keeping an eye here, but I'm going to go on mute and I'm going to let the pros handle it from here, right? Thank you, everyone. Have a kick-ass webinar.
Thanks, Prashant, for setting the tone. I think a very, very important topic in the current scheme of things. I would want to thank InfoEdge for this opportunity on behalf of all my panelists and myself. This is a very interesting topic, while there are connotation of this topic about whether jobs are being lost and all that, but let's talk about the positive side of it, right? From an AI standpoint, we know how it has disrupted the industries, right? From a typical travel industry towards the defense analytics kind of a thing, right? So it has disrupted every industry. So coming to this topic, we'll talk about in HR, especially in talent acquisition, what has happened and how. And I think Harvard also kind of came up with this review that 44% of the companies have already understood that this is a trend that they have to catch up with, and which means that I think we are, up for a big transformation journey. Right? With that, my three panelists come with varied experience. I think Prashant, you should be very happy that you have a person from banking, a person from consulting, a person from product IT, which is Savita, and then myself, engineering. So you could have not asked for a better panelist, a diverse panel kind of thing, right? So with that, let's start, right?
Vishwa, I can tell you that I'm not just happy because of that. I can also tell you this is our most attended webinar already. This is the highest number we've seen across our 10 webinars. So it's not just me, it's the attendees who are also looking forward to this interaction.
Yeah. Thanks for that, right? So let's take an example of, let's take this thought process that this will help us. And then when we run this webinar, that's when you understand that what is it that's disrupting all about, right? So let's talk about it. So if you look at recruitment in the whole, right? So you start talking about job description, you will talk about recruitment marketing, then sourcing and assessment. So this is the entire workflow if you really look at. Now my idea is to see at each stage how AI is playing an important role. And I'll put my panelist onto the spot, and I would want to take them through their journey in terms of how they have incubated AI. Okay? So let's start talking to Savita. Savita, right? So I think my interesting question and very, very favorite question. So a lot of people say that AI is a future technology. We are not ready with that. And it's all in the air and all that stuff, that very, very high level comments come in. And also I've seen that some of those early adopters have seen some bit of fruit in it, right? So can you just make me understand a little bit on how is it happening at your end?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And first of all, thank you so much for inviting me over here, and very happy to be here and also to talk to all of you. So Vishwanath, what you said is right, that we do, AI is definitely a new technology that has come in the last few years, the machine learning, AI and NLP. And like any new technologies, it has disrupted all the domains, and recruitment is also not left far behind. So if you look at how AI or ML is being used in the recruitment or talent acquisition function, it is nothing but the next step of the automation of recruitment that has begun way back in 2005 to 2010 timeframe. You saw that recruitment industry was going through a disruption, and it was very natural that the new technologies got adopted in talent acquisition, and the AI and ML also came into all our the automation part, what was happening in the recruitment industry already. So we understand that that tech industry is powered by talent, and finding talent is the most critical thing for anything in the tech industry right now. And if you don't have the talent, you will not be able to do anything. And the whole success of this whole, of a tech organization, or even to a large extent, even non-tech organization, depends on the kind of people or the talent they have. And if you look at the current job market, or and then the candidate pool, there are there are two basic categories. One is, the very new areas, like they say data sciences, robotics, etc., where you have plenty of jobs, but you have less people. And then you have a slightly lower end, or maybe the fresher jobs and other jobs where there are a lot of people, but the rest jobs. So how do you match both of them? So the beauty of using AI and ML is that it can process large amounts of unstructured data and look through different data sets. It can be the ones what you have in a system, or what ones is available on the internet, and then make sense out of it all and give you the kind of, the candidate or the kind of pool what you really require for your organization. So you can tailor your need. So manually going through all these data sets and getting things done is very difficult, and just doing some bits of automation may also not help. And also in today's world, most of the candidates are available on social media and on the internet. So what happens is AI and ML is nothing but is like a powerful tool for us to go and find all these proverbial hidden gems which are there everywhere, right? So definitely using these two technologies and all the new technologies has proven to be a big boon for the recruitment industry. And the whole digital disruption that it has brought about in the recruitment industry has a lot of pros. And of course, there are some other cons what we can also talk about, but then I think we are reaching a stage where it is becoming mainstream. And also the last point what I want to make here is that when you say AI and ML, it's not that you should have a fancy new platform or a tool. Just building this layer on top of what is already existing. Like for example, you look at all the job portals today, right? Or the same, look at Naukri.com, which is the most popular job portal in India. That if you look at how Naukri was 15 or 20 years ago to now, it is very different. I mean, the kind of the way they match the candidates, the way they find the talent for you is different. And they have also adopted these in their searches. So all I'm saying is that just adding this layer to the existing tools itself is also, will help in finding the candidates. And we don't really have to look at fancier tools and newer platforms when we say AI and ML.
Yeah. So thanks, Savita. I think you brought in an interesting perspective of analytics in AI. Generally, it is misunderstood that AI is different and analytics is different. So it has to work, in a combined fashion, right? So my next question to Jaideep. Jaideep, I always heard in your lot of recruitment marketing, Dansky wants to hire the best of the best talent, right? So in this situation, how do you think the recruitment marketing and then the job description management plays an important role, because we are trying to hire the best of the best talent? So how do you think AI can play a role in enabling your searches better and making your job description one of the best in the industry? Go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just take build on what Savita mentioned, right? The first and foremost is most of the systems are there. You create a layer on top of your existing ones, right? And that has to be one, adaptive, and it needs to take a lot of data and give out the cuts of data what you really want, and also the faster processing that you would need at the time that you need it. Okay, so when you create a job descriptions, typically you tend to put everything, kind of a thing, right? And there is a lot of things that goes behind, right? One is the tech aspect of the role, and second is the job descriptions have a view of a gender in that one, and the third is, okay, is all the combination of the skills is can be clubbed in together, or is there something that you'll find out 3-4 gentlemen or 3-4 women in one particular thing? So we look at some of the stuff like Textio, which talks about the job description biasness. It will remove some of the biasness which is there on that one. And couple of alternatives to Textio is also being looked upon as a part of the process. Okay, is all the organization adopted to that? That is second aspect of it. But however, organizations are started trying and establishing to the the unbiasedness in the job description, and then see that, okay, can we part of it, right? In addition to that, as I said, it's a technology that we would need a lot of uncut data in the different forms and shapes. The assessments and those stuff will come into picture and then move on from, and then put up what is right for you from an organizational point of view, Vishwa. It's going to be there, and you will see a better version or a better products which will help you to create a better job descriptions, and also help you to make a gender neutral some of the job description that is out over there. That's take that I have.
Thanks, Jaideep. I think you've spelled the bean right, Textio, right? Thank you for that. It's always important to kind of, when you're getting into these seminars, the text subject part of it has to also come into the viewers. Thanks for that, Jaideep. So let's move on to the same topic. In addition to that, Nadeem, I would want to ask you, we've heard that a lot of your work from a recruitment marketing can be done by this AI, right? So I would want to hear from you. Did you come across any specific tool, or did you come across any bit AI system which can actually help in doing recruitment marketing? Because I believe that when you do this well, I think rest of the things will come into the place. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I'm thankful to InfoEdge and my rest of my colleagues and panelists for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this session. Vish, thanks for this question. Let me give you a brief update here. The tools what we have been exploring with Inspiraj and the previous company, the basic model or the basic strategy behind using these new tools related to UI is four strategies which I can keep it in place. First, clarify roles and expectations. This is the key for us. The reason why I'm saying this is we have a disparate team members which require a lot of tactical directions. A team charter across different locations, different geographies need to have a very clear track on roles what we are going to hire for, also meet the objectives of the organization. This is the very clear aspect. One, clarity on the roles and expectation. Once we have this in place, we want to establish some procedures. Okay, so establish norms and provide the best of the best training, which can be in any form, that will help us to ease out on the decision making parts. This is the second important thing what we want to invest upon. Without saying, the next goes in the trust factor, right? We have invested in a tool which is going to help us in yielding better results. Ensure that each one of us, starting from the top management till the person who is executing it, is responsible and feeling responsible and assured that this tool is going to help them us. Then the last but not the least is recognize the impact of differences. Whenever we are using these tools, maybe for delegating responsibilities or scheduling meetings or bringing a lot of candidates at one shot and creating a sort of a pool of the candidates, we need to make sure that this tool is going to help us in the long run without creating any sort of a bias. right?
Yeah.
The bias can be in any format. Bias can be in the social stages or the language barriers or the time difference or the distance or the experience. It can be any form. So some of the tools which we have been venturing, the local tools, one of the good tool what we have come across is Zwayam. We have been using it. It is kind of a hiring ATS, as well as it helps in filtering the candidates. So this has helped us in many ways. So one another tool we have explored is Skillate, right? So Skillate, Zwayam, and the third tool which we have got a reference from our US team is Hirevant, right? We are still yet to explore that. Apart from all that, we have telemetry, right? So these are all some 3 or 4 tools we are venturing out to see whether the strategies which we have kept it in the 4 buckets or the parameters can be met, right?
Yeah.
So end of the day, we want to give a best and the best of the experience to the candidates who walks in to our office. Also make sure that our metrics are in place, our expectations and the roles clarity has been met, and create a very kind of a harmonious situation for everybody. Right. So
Thanks,
somebody is
Nadeem.
asking me these questions. My name Mukim Dionakar. Let me again answer. One is the Skillate, Zwayam, Hirevant, and telemetry. So these are all some 3 or 4 tools which I can remember on top of my mind, and these are all some of the tools which we have been venturing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vish.
Thanks. Nadeem, I think you gave us an input. It is the audience. I think my suggestion to all of you is that you may or may not use it, but it doesn't harm you to know that tool and how does it work, right? Because some point in time you will start using it. So that's where the learning curve comes in. AI is disrupting HR talent acquisition in a big way. If we are not able to adopt or understand that, I think we will be in a losing side. So that's my source. Thanks, Nadeem, for your input. And these 4 tools are really good tools that I have heard a lot about them. Thanks for that. So let's go to, let's step down to, I think, sourcing, right? Sourcing is a very, very important key in the whole process. So I'll go back to Nadeem, right? Nadeem, my point is, I'm hearing that there are tools, right, which can actually rank your resumes, right? Now, my question is, tell me, what was your experience in that and which are those tools? And do you think these tools are reliable? And I'm asking the third question. You may not want to answer it, fine, but I would want to kind of get your views.
Okay, so some of the sourcing tools which we have been ranking, again, I will go back to Zwayam, which we have been venturing it from quite some time. What happens here, Vish and the rest of the panelists and the members, see, it works on pattern recognition, right? So it goes to a fact that whenever we are using these tools, the best and the best match of the CV is going to always reflect on the top, right? In that way, if I am creating one simple or a single position, irrespective of the nature or the experience or the scrutiny of the role, right, I get the best of the best match on the top, right? My recruiter, if I am receiving tons of resumes, they don't have to go through and screen each and every profile for that, right? The best in the pattern recognition match process, I get the best of the resume, which we can filter it. Maybe I can say, if I have received 1,000 profiles, I might have to end up in searching for 50 or 60 resumes, which can be the top ranked resume. In that way, it is going to save a hell amount of time for all the recruiters and the candidates. And it will also give us a kind of a sense of recognition to those candidates who well deserve to be walked into our office for the rest of the interview process. So one of the thing what we have been venturing out is Pomato, right? It helps in matching skills and shortlisting resumes. Also, the other tools which I have told are, so it acts as ATS, but it also helps us to screen and shortlist resumes on a best matching basis. So these are all some suggestions I can give at this point of time. And maybe once we move forward, I can bring in more diversified perspective to it, Vish.
Thanks, Nadeem. So, Savita, my next question is, to rank a CV, we have to have a CV in its first place, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there are some smart algorithms which are powered by AI, right, which can actually start sourcing people from wherever, however, and whatever kind of? So, can you throw some light on that?
Yeah, sure. So one of the best use cases of AI and ML has been in sourcing candidates in the talent acquisition space. And if you look at the entire recruitment life cycle, That was one area which got disrupted first and saw a spurt of tools and technologies that came in and newer platforms much before anything else came up. So the earliest one in this area was Entelo, which I think is pretty popular and a lot of you might have already used it. So that helps in finding different types of people you want based on ethnicity, your gender, a veteran status, or any other parameter what you may have. So this whole ranking, the stack ranking, the matching, like what Nadeem mentioned, right? It finds the pattern and it matches and it stack ranks and tells you who are the top 10 people who you want. And what happens is it looks at your, your job description or your keywords, what is there, and then helps you in getting these candidates. And these tools not only just help in looking at external candidates and crawl the internet, but also look internally into your own database and help you get people. I strongly believe that most of our organizations have got, have been hiring for over the last 10 years, will have very, very good databases. And that is a very, very important source, what most people overlook. Your, the talent rediscovery, as it is known as, is very critical for the success. And because these candidates are already with us, they know about your organization, and getting the connect with them and getting them into the process is much more easier than going and getting a brand new candidate. So what happens is there are tools like this. What I have worked with very extensively is a tool called Belong.co. And Belong has been very, very useful, and it has evolved in the last 4-5 years and become extremely powerful for us in finding talent, not only for niche requirements, but also for any kind of a tech requirement what we have. And that uses intelligent mapping and intelligent sourcing, and also helps in writing out personalized messages to candidates based on their resume, based on what they have mentioned in the profile. So that and that whole automating of the outreach also is very critical for recruiters. So there is Belong, and then there is Entelo, which is always there. So these are some of the tools which have been useful that tried, and it's constantly evolving. Like if you look at the tool today, most of these companies make sure that the best algorithms are used and the best criteria search functions are built into their products, and every year it evolves and helps. So the reason why I also advocate using AI ML tools into your searches is not because it's going to automate and find you active and passive candidates and give recruiters a lot of time, but also it helps recruiters do more meaningful work. Like right, if you go through and start doing your manual work, imagine using all these tools will help you save so much of time, and not from the candidate perspective, but recruiters can become more of a talent advisors and use their time more meaningfully in working in areas where a human connect is very important. For example, building your relationship well with your stakeholders, or maybe with your candidates and passive or active candidates, doing outreach to people, doing community events, right? All this is very important and very critical for recruiters in today's in today's world. And recruiters need not be just paper pushers moving your CV from your inbox into your hiring manager's inbox. So that helps them add more meaning to their work as well, and add value to the organization they're working in. And hence we should not look at using AI and ML simply because it's a fancy new technology and everyone's using it and it's in thing to do, but also look at it from how it is going to empower your recruiters to become talent advisors, and the organization also to find the talent.
Yeah, thanks. I think two interesting points that you brought in. One is definitely the tools part of it, and second is I like the point that you mentioned, recruiters being more aligned to business and all that stuff. From a service provider to a business driver journey, they can really embark on if they really get this AI to do their job, and they can do a lot of relationship management, and that's good for them also, right? So so Jaideep, I think for you, Nadeem spoke about CV ranking, right? And then Savita spoke about some bit of doing some intelligent algorithm kind of thing. Now, once you got it, right? Do you think there are some use cases in terms of screening those resumes, or doing some bit of understanding of whether the person is really the same person or not, or something to do with the screening bit? Do you think there are any inputs?
Yeah. So Vishal, first is the resumes that comes to you. The recruiter is always seen as an ambassador of the organization, the way he speaks, the way somebody's understand what the candidate is looking for, and the candidate, so the recruiter should respond adaptively so that the need of the why a candidate is looking for a change is captured in the first 30 seconds of the conversation, right? Now with the AI and ML, there are plenty of tools that are developed to capture the needy of why a candidate is looking for a change, right? We're talking about the tools like Zor, Explosive, and Brazen, and all the stuff. These are not just standalone tools which will capture why a candidate is looking for change. It also captures the guy why. Fun is you're talking about the role. Okay, is the role in line with what the candidate is looking for? Second is, given that everybody is working in a different, across the world, is the chat bot is enable you to understand, okay, do we have a role on that location, or what is the closest location that he or she can be helped with? The third is, okay, integration with the ATSs in the organization. Along with that, how does you integrate with the overall social media of organization as well as to the external world as well? So those are the things that these tools will enable you to get integrated, as well as talk to the candidate to understand what is the reason of a move. And also it will be a natural evaluation of the candidate when he or she puts across his point of view or the skills, experience, and then quickly search back with what Nadeem and Savita talked about. Okay, I have a role, and is my CV on top of the curve so that recruiter can pick up and speak. And then if the resume is on the bottom of it, then my recruiter would not spend time, rather I would spend the time with having a different conversation with the hiring manager. So these are the tools will enable you to be more productive. These are the tools will enable you to be more accurate to the role that the candidate is looking for, which is also captures that your early fallout post joining would be taken care of.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, actually. I think early thing is that you mentioned rings me a bell, because we do not want to end up spending a lot of time and finally get into a situation where the person doesn't join for various reasons. I think that's a good one that you mentioned. So I'll stay with you, Jaydeep, for one more time. I think we're slowly moving from screening to assessments, right? So I have got 100 CVs, and then I want to assess all of them. It's a scheduling nightmare to recruiters, and I know that companies like us fall flat at that time, right? And we may not give a great candidate experience. Can you talk me through some of those experiences of yours? Maybe some tools that you've used. Is there a used case there?
Okay, we'll talk about. Sure, I'll speak about how we are doing, as in the Danske, as well as my previous organization, which is GE and Genpact. The way I look at it is, when any candidate comes in, he or she would have gone through a first level of screening and discussion, and then what is the available time that he or she would be available for Sun. So we had a inbuilt tool which is called as Quora in Gboard. We had it that was used to help us in doing the availability as well as the panel and everything. So internal tool which was making more sense, but when we want to do it at scale, it was not scaling up. Hence we went out and then looked at the tools like Calendly, which is helping us to do the scheduling part of it. And it is again, it takes a lot of data, and then try and do your job what is the best, so that you don't spend time on scheduling, rescheduling, and then kind of a thing. It also integrates with the other email providers, so that your calendar gets blocked, and then also internally, if you enable the ports, it will also automatically blocks your calendar as well. In Danske IT, we don't use it, the form of Calendly, but we try and do a similar form which is inbuilt internally. So we are using that part of it. But yeah, it is making a lot of effort. And again, this is very adaptive to nature, so that it won't allow you to rebook 2 meetings at the same time.
Yeah.
So those are the things that is being done, Vishwa.
Thanks, Jaideep. I think good that you mentioned about Calendly. So Savita, when I understand about ThoughtWorks, one of the most innovative company, and we always want to have the best of the best talent. So we've got resumes. We all know what next to be done. Assessment is a very critical step, and technical assessment, which is code assessment and all that, is very
Yeah.
tedious process. So do you think you guys have got some puzzle that you have kind of cracked it, and how are you doing it at your end?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So there are plenty of assessment tools that are available in the market, and like any other company, ThoughtWorks, we are looking for the best talent, which all the other companies also want. And just hiring more recruiters to do the phone screens is not the best solution to it. And often recruiters are not technical people, so the good candidates might fall through, or the not so good candidates might come through. So we'll have false positives. So automating, especially when you want to hire at scale, or when you want to hire faster and cheaper also at a lesser cost, and make it more effective, then I think using some of these platforms which are there in the market for assessments is very useful. So while there are plenty of assessment tools available in the market, platforms like this HackerEarth, there's HackerRank, there is Skillenza, Aspiring Minds has got a good platform. Then there is Metal, which is also evolved, and they do a lot of things, not just technical assessments, but even other psychometric assessments as well. It again depends on what kind of talent you're looking for, and what is the need, and what is the role you're looking for. So in ThoughtWorks, because we primarily hire more of tech talent, and that's the bulk of hiring what we do, we use both HackerRank and HackerRank as a tool, for assessing at the first level assessment. So if I recollect the olden days, or rather quite some time back when I used to do hands-on recruiting, I remember my hiring managers in Oracle giving me a list of 10 Unix commands what candidates should know, and I should ask them. So I would spend all my hours asking these questions, and then 10 questions on Python. And then depending on what they answer, we would shortlist the candidates. And I think Nadeem also would have gone through the same thing when he was in Oracle. But then times have thankfully changed now. Our recruiters don't have to do that. And what we do is that it also gives, right now, with also because of the pandemic and all the other situations, unfortunate situations we are in, everybody's working from home, everything has to be done online. So these online tools will help in, in actually having processing a lot of candidates who are in the top of your funnel, making them go through a standardized tests, what are there. And these tests can be completely customized. You can put in your own questions. The evaluation is also very good. They do, it's not just, they don't look just at your yes or no answers. It's not very binary. They look at the, they look at the edge cases. There's also test cases what people have to write. So it's very effective for us in processing our top of the funnel candidates, especially both at the, at campuses as well as lateral hiring. And we have extensively used both these platforms, including Skillenza. To some extent, we have also tried Aspiring Minds earlier. And I think I strongly believe in using these assessment tools, for your first level of filtering.
Yeah, thanks, Savita. I think these are good use cases, and I'm sure I've used personally, so I can vouch for that. So, guys, once again, audience, here we are not trying to promote any product or a service or a technology. It is the experience that we have come across. So, just viewers' advice is actually required, right? Now, Nadeem, we've got a good candidate, technically very sound and all that. But in the current scheme of things, cultural assessment plays an important role, and that's when the psychometric assessments. So, do you think the psychometric assessments which were there 10 years back, they have gone through some change? Did AI disrupt that also? Do you have some input on that?
Yeah, thank you, Vish. This is my favorite question. In fact, it has taken a lot of change, Vish. It has eased out the job of a recruiter in many ways. So recruitment as a profession, I don't call it as a profession, it's a religion for me, right? So we need people, or we need recruiters who are passionate to do, and we need natural recruiters to perform the role. I remember those days, Savita can vouch for me, and I can vouch for her. This is into 2005, 2006. We used to have a huge batch of people standing outside Oracle, and we used to run through giving paper pen test, and we used to have a transparent sheet for corrections. And also those days are gone, which those days doesn't exist anymore. In fact, the new recruiter doesn't understand the pain and the pleasure of going through that as well, right? So yes, it has taken a huge change. Artificial intelligence it has brought a lot of disruption, but it is also bringing a lot of natural stupidity among recruiters, right? It has to be used in a very productive way to assess the right candidate in a real methodical way, so that we are not doing any injustice or we are not doing any wrong thing there. What is the overall purpose of doing it, right? Anyway, we are meeting candidate, we are shaking hand, we are assessing lot many things, right? Interviewers are doing, hiring managers are doing, and recruiters as well as HR, everybody is doing that. But this psychometric test will bring a different reasoning altogether, right? It talks a little more about numerical, it talks a little more about diagrammatic, right? It talks a little more logical, it talks a little more about error checking, right? So there are a lot many ways psychometric tests are going to help. I'll give one simple example. When I was with Huawei, we used to conduct a test, right? So we used to write a huge program, Android program, to select Android developers. This I'm talking in the year 2011. At that point of time, Android was in boom, right? So the candidate does not have to write any coding there. Candidate does not have to do anything there, right? So the entire coding sheet is completely filled. What we expect from a candidate is the answer, is an output, right? If the candidate writes an output, he or she is a reject.
Yeah,
so what we are trying to understand here is there is a error in the program in some corner, right? What we want to do is to assess the candidate whether he has the logical ability to identify the error. Okay, so the person has to take a marker, or the person has to go to the right place in the online test, just highlight that because of this code or because of this bug we can't execute the answer, or you can't implement it in a real time, right? There is no output for this. This is the courage we want to see in a candidate. One. Wow. Second, how well the candidate is good enough to tell that interviewer is wrong, right? Not many times interviewers are right. Interviewers are also judged equally at the other point of time, right? So we want the courage from the candidate to understand and assess the right parameter where it has gone wrong, right? And tell the interviewer very clearly, with this I can't execute. And also on the other hand, tell the interviewer or tell the organization, this error code, because of this program I can't execute it, right? Got it. So these are all some sort of logical reasoning we want to bring in to the place to make sure that things becomes easier. So the entire purpose of bringing psychometric test and having more of evaluation is to ease out the life of people. Whether it can be a recruiter, whether it can be a hiring manager or whoever, and it should help us in taking a right decision at right point of time without harming anybody's views or without harming anybody's potential. This is something we have been doing it consciously. We did that in Huawei. I have also been implementing it in consulting field of Inspiraj, but you never know, right? So things keeps doing it. We continue to do a lot of iterations. We continue to identify some faults and keep bringing some more control measures to make it happen. So that's what my answer going to be, Vish.
Good one actually. And this is where I see a technology angle to a recruiter. It's not only recruiter who has technology orientation, right? So thanks for that. So Jaideep, if you, I have always seen that Danske wants to hire the best of the best talent, and then obviously when you think that somebody is best, that person also has an opportunity to work with a Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, or any other company, right?
Right.
That's where the post-offer engagement really makes a lot of difference. So according to you, you can talk about any process, technology tool, or your own experience. What has been your experience in enabling this process to enable that you kind of get what you want at the end of the day? Go ahead.
Okay, so Vishwa, this is a two-step. Okay, one is the human, as well as I'll also talk about the AI part of it. Okay, the candidate is looking for an X in an organization when he or she comes for a role with an organization. After all the process, the hiring manager and the candidate should see a place where okay, this is the candidate that I would want, and the candidate would also look at, okay, this is the kind of work that I'm looking for. Now that's the first step of saying that, okay, he accepted the offer, kind of thing. Second is, if the candidate finds some similar roles in other banks or other organizations, he would tend to start comparing with what role that we have. This is where the human element of the hiring manager would come in picture and say that, okay, this is the job, this is the role, and this is the future of the role would look like. Okay, that's one made them to this makes the candidate feel better, and he or she would join our organization. After joining, it is the tools which will enable to have the employee be with us for a long time. Okay, if you look at today Danske IT, about 35 to 38% of the overall employees are working with us for the last 5 years. Okay,
Wow.
on the front. And all these guys have seen a movement of the career from a role point of view, from a technology point of view, and also from a the work, the core aspect of the role work is also being seen. Now, for the new joiner, this would not make any difference, because he or she would like to see what is in store for the next 30 days and then move on, or get part of it, right? This is where the tools like Talmundo or Play or any of the other tools that will come into picture in trying to build up what is the best for the candidate to see. And it will also feed in the hiring manager and the organization that the candidate was looking for this. Do you have it? If not, then how do we ensure that, okay, these are built as a part of the role as well? So it will give a better picture for the organizations and the candidate to be part of the organization for a long time, and kind of a thing. It is a it's a tight rope walk, primarily because, one, the candidate expectation is to have a better work, and organization is to make sure, okay, give him or her better role, so that they put a hand and glove and then move on from a career point of view. And the Stallman would be the tightrope, that what I mentioned about go hand in hand kind of a thing.
Thanks. I think you got the input about the stickiness of the organization also, I think, in terms of investing on candidates. So good one, David. So Savita, let's move on to you. And I'm hearing a lot of inputs about onboarding process, gamification, and a lot more. And then, in fact, some of the use cases that I have come across is that there's no more a whole day induction kind of a thing and a person talking. Can you give us some examples of your own example or something where what's happening in this area in terms of onboarding specifically?
Yeah, so once we find this great talent, I think onboarding is the next critical step. And a place where all these AI ML has played is more of using, things like chatbots. There are tools like Onboarder or Enboarder, as it is called, which helps in effective onboarding of candidates, so that it will not be just a day where people fill in a lot of forms and things like that, which can be done online right now. It is more about giving a good understanding about the organization to the candidate, and also being available, 24/7 to the candidates in the first 1 month to answer all the queries what they may have. And depending on the kind of candidates who are onboarding, whether they're freshers or people with experience, there has to be some kind of a personalized way of onboarding them. We can't make a fresher or a junior candidate sit along with some person like a director who we have hired and give them the same experience. So we need to tailor it as per their their role, what they're doing in, and as per their experience and seniority as well. And AI and ML will help in customizing all this, because it's impossible to hire more and more people in the onboarding team to do this. So if we have some kind of a automated system or a chatbot which is going to help all this, that makes life easy for everyone. And then the routine work of, when you get into an organization, what you have to do in the first 2-3 days can be taken care of. And the place where I feel, AI ML is playing a bigger role is, mapping out the entire candidate journey, or the journey of the person in the first 6 months or 3 months or 1 year, depending on what the organization wants to do. right? And mapping out especially the learning pathways for them. So it's very critical that when a person joins in, they just don't start the work. There also has to be something of onboarding and the development of the person, and also the capability upliftment and development, which is also very critical.
Yeah.
So using these AI ML tools, which is going to help them map out these journeys and help them figure out how they have to navigate their way through the organization, and either through the online learning portals what organizations have, or external, if they are tied up with external agencies, for their learning, and mapping this, tracking this, and maybe even gamifying this a little bit. AI and ML helps in quite a lot.
Yeah.
Although at ThoughtWorks, we have not really used any of these tools, but I do hear good feedback about some of these tools that people are using. We do have, we have looked at a few demos and looked at stuff, but not really used it. We have our own internal systems and designed systems, what we are using right now.
You're using design thinking to solve the problem, Savita. Thanks for that.
I know.
Yeah. So one other thing that I've heard from you is that you don't leave the candidate the moment the person joins. The recruiter's journey is beyond that. I think that's what you told me. Thanks for that. So Nadeem, I heard somewhere that the future of management, is actually based on the way technology is adopted by us, right? Now, owing the pandemic, we've seen that entire recruiter journey has become virtual, right? So I would want to take a minute or so and understand your personal journey in terms of enabling your teams to do the same amount of work through the pandemic and creating the same amount of output.
Okay. Thank you, Vish. Again, I will narrate this answer in 5 points. Okay. So first and the foremost point, to keep the team motivated and to keep them happy, or keep all of us on the same boat, we need to empathize, right? So empathy is playing a bigger role. So that means to say we need to deal with different sort of crisis, right? Allay fears of employees and our team members, develop critical bonds with them, and have a kind of a high call and ask them how are they doing, how's the family doing. It doesn't cost much, right? It doesn't. Be genuine in your approach, and show that solidarity with them. It's not only with respect to the candidates, it's also with respect to our recruiters who are working with us, the hiring managers, and especially the recruitment partners or the vendors, right? They are also there for us to stand in the crisis time, right? So first thing is the empathy part. Second, or the most important thing, is the trust. So the trust is a kind of a narrow line, right, which can be broken at any given point of time. And in the recruitment field, it is very easy to do that, right? It's always the question of trust keeps coming in from the day we start collecting the requirement till we fulfill our onboard. It's trust with our team members and being flexible with them and asking them to be to lead the life they would like to be, and be on top of things. We should not question their ability, or we should not ask them to do the same work repeatedly. So this is something, trust factor, which is going to enhance, and which is something we are building it up. And third thing is the agility, right? So we need to be more agile, right? We have multiple situations to play with now, right? So these multiple situations can come in multiple angles, like hiring managers are not feeling okay with the set of resumes given, or not interviews are not happening on time because of virtualization. There is a connection issue with the candidate or with the hiring manager. So there is a lot of agility is needed, though everybody is working from home, but everybody is working more from home, right? So you need to be on top of things. You need to make sure that your dashboards are ready, your hiring piece material at any given point of time are there. Though this might sound little slow or silly, even a schedule which is not happening on time, candidate not joining, or hiring manager not joining, also has to be tracked. So to that level, a recruiter has to get motivated and make sure that they do well. Then each recruiter has to develop some sort of a multi-dimensional thinking. So they need to make sure that there is a risk, right? Pandemic situation, there are potential risk involved at any given point of time, right? Employees are getting laid off. Not getting a job in the market outside is not easier, right? So we need to make sure that there are opportunities, but it comes with a lot of risk. So have a multi-dimensional thinking, saying that, this is also a situation, this will pass through. Don't panic, stay healthy. Just make sure that you do your job, being agile, do your job and complete it. And also, last but not the least, like everything will pass out, all pandemic situation will move out. everyone need to have a growth mindset, right? This is a continuous process. So we need to look in with ourselves, what is something that we can rediscover? What is something that we can unlearn, relearn? These two things are quite important. There are some passions which has died with us, which is very good to have. Somewhere or other we have not lived up to it, right? This is the right time. Let's live up to our passion. Let's rediscover some of our forms. Let's unlearn and relearn something, right? So these are all certain small things. This will also help us to motivate. It will automatically, it will reduce the stress factors, right? It will not create a kind of a unhealthy environment. It will create a more of a challenging or a passionate environment. Come back and talk about some of the unfulfilled dreams that you have not been able to do, and you have led the platform to achieve it, right? So this 4 or 5 things is what we are closely monitoring, not only with my team. It is a kind of a thought that has been initiated among us, right? Being empathized, having the trust factor, agility, multidimensional thinking, and a growth mindset. So these 4 or 5 points is what I can sum it up, Vish.
Thanks. I think I like the multidimensional kind of aspect very well, because I think as a recruiter, morning you are a sourcer, afternoon you are a business partner, evening you are a candidate advocate, after that you are a change agent, and finally, before you are sleeping, you are actually doing something on metrics, which is technology kind of thing, right? So I think analytics. So good thoughts. I think we have 5 minutes, Prashant. So I would want each one of you to give one sentence or thought of yours before we go on to the questions about this. You can use this platform to kind of say thanks also, or you can give us your kind of input on the whole thing that you just discussed, or maybe you want to talk about. Go ahead. Savita, we're starting with you.
Thank you. First of all, yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here. I think there are some very, very intelligent, nice questions in the Q&A sections. I've tried and answered as much as I can. But if anyone else has more questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm active on both these platforms. I'll be happy to share my experience and and help you out. So what I would like to say is that there's always this fear that AI is going to replace recruiters, and I don't think anyone should think about it in that manner at all. Technology is there to enable the recruiters, not to replace them. And things will change, and the technology will change. The way we hire, the way we get candidates will change, but it doesn't mean the recruiters are going to get replaced. This is a good opportunity for recruiters to become talent advisors and see how they can scale them up and adapt to the changing times. It is not just about going on a job portal and getting CVs anymore. And right now, the human touch, what is required to build a connect with the candidates and selling your company, and that is the one which is going to be the differentiator between your organization and the other organization. And for that, you need a smart, intelligent recruiter. And hence, I think we shouldn't be fearing technology at all. And thank you, Vishwa.
Thanks, Savita. I think you made an interesting point. Recruiters who use AI will replace those recruiters who don't use AI.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best lines that I will take from this webinar as well.
Okay, Jaideep.
Okay, so first of all, thanks Vishwa and Prashant for an opportunity to talk and express my views. We are we're a small group in the big ocean of recruiting, and then talking about AI, ML, and whatnot, right? Ours is a very small start. I think the moment we start adopting at least 20% of what we spoke, probably our life will be better, and we will have more time to talk about to our own business managers or being a business partner rather than a recruiter. And the other aspect is talent rediscovery. I picked up from Savita. So all these tools will enable you to look at what's in store within your own organization rather than looking outside. So look at those. And lastly, I think like Savita mentioned, recruiting job will remain with us. It's the speed and the outcome driven environment will increase, and there's all the tools that we had spoken during the last 1 hour will enable you to increase your output and your productivity, make you to be on top of the resume that an organization would look hired for.
Right,
Those
guys.
are the passing comments.
I'm just going to sort of, I'll have to do this because I don't want it to get disconnected a little awkwardly. I
Right.
just want to say thank you to all 4 panelists. Vishwanath, thank you so much for doing this with us. And to almost all 300 of you who stayed with us through the webinar. Really, really grateful to all of you for doing this with us. We're sharp at 4 p.m. almost. And Vishwanath, I'm going to give you the last line before we sort of close.
Yeah. Nadeem, before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So recruitment, again, as I told earlier, recruitment is a religion. It's a passion. So take it as a passion that you want to change or impact the life of a candidate. So it is not only the candidate who he is just an interface, he is representing you. Behind the candidate, there is a huge family, right? A candidate's family, wife, kids, or spouse, or family members, parents, right? Everybody is there. So you are impacting them as well, right? Go a little, walk an extra mile to think what you are doing, right? You are doing a noble job. I have seen many of my friends, and Savita can watch with me, who started recruitment 15, 20 years back. They are not recruiters anymore. After 5 years of completion, they have gone and jumped into operations or HRBP role. Recruitment is a passion. You live with it. You make it happen. You are the one who is going to drive the change, right? And you are a change agent. So the quick tip for each recruiter is reframe how you think. For example, ask yourself, what is that work I am doing? What are the benefits of this work? What is the benefits of this situation? What might be interpretation of the situation if I am going to miss, right?
Yeah.
Guys, recruitment being a wonderful profession, get some adequate sleep, right? So most of the times we go through sleepless nights. So make sure that you have some sufficient sleep and explore the power of positivity, right? So to help you in any situation, have the attitude of gratitude. This is something I want to keep telling everybody. Keep the attitude of gratitude at every point of time, because we are also freshers one point of time, and we have learned and we have reached some stage. So have that attitude of gratitude in you, and you will sail through a bigger way.
Thank you, Nadeem. Wish you. I
I
don't
would
want
want all the recruiters to traverse through journey of a typical service provider to a business partner and finally end up being a business driver. If you are enabling that journey, I'm sure you will be the best in this world-class teams. So look at how you can enable business. That's all I want to say. And all the very best to you. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
And thank you to everyone for doing this. Please do fill out the feedback form on your way out. Really appreciate you joining us for this 1 hour. Wonderful 1 hour. Please stay safe and take all the precautions. Thank you so much to all the panelists. That was absolutely outstanding. Vishwanath, thank you so much. Special thanks for trying to set this up for us. Really appreciate it.